Hello guys and welcome to another class. See your boy Gabriel. So I said we would look at the variables and understand better how to work with variables. Okay, and I gave a simple example in the last video where I just used my name, don't mind my spelling, and I used my age, and I said I'm 20 whatever 20 what. So if I run this program, unfortunately we are not going to see anything on the console, right? And why are we not seeing anything on the console? hmm why are we not seeing anything on the console? I said my name is Gabriel, and I said my age is 23, and I ran the program, and I'm not seeing anything. Well, don't panic. That is because we did not print anything to the console. A very simple answer. So before you will see anything on your console, you have to print it. So if you wanted to see my name, I would just simply print name, and name will be printed on the console. If I wanted to see my age, I would simply print age, and age will be printed on the console. If I wanted to see my age and my name, I would print my age and my name, and my age and the name will be printed on the console. And if I forget for any reason to put the print statement, I would not see anything. And that is one problem. One day there's this group I belong to, Solo Lane. I don't know how many of you belong to that group. So somebody was a beginner though. She wrote a script. She wrote something about 15 lines of code. So when she run I think the program was supposed to perform a task. I think ask somebody for their name and or something like that. So at the end of the day, she was now complaining that the program is not showing anything. So I now looked at her program and I discovered only to discover that there was no print statement. So the whole code will execute, but at the end of the day, she didn't ask it to print anything. So nothing was actually the program executed, right? Yes. Python went through the program. The Python compiler went through the program. It compiled and interpreted the program, but there was nothing like a print statement. So Python did not actually see what to print. So Python said, okay, since you did not ask me to print anything, why will I print anything? Because it's whatever you tell the computer to do that it would actually do. So if you didn't ask the computer to print anything for you, the computer would simply ignore the fact that it should print something. So you are the architect of whatever you are writing. It is what you tell the computer to do that it will actually do. Enough of talking, let us go into the coding. Now I've explained what strings are and how to use them. If you are watching this video, you're watching this video before the other one where I talked about strings, you're wrong. You are wrong. So you have to go and watch the other video on strings before you come to this video. Okay? And I would say again, any question you have, jot it down. When you're done watching the video and you still cannot answer the question yourself, you come to the WhatsApp group and share the question, share the problems. We will solve it together. If we cannot solve it, if I cannot solve it, I would take it up as a research, and eventually we will get answers to the question. Okay, now there is something I need to tell us, very important. We have on line 2 23, and we have on line 1 Gabriel, but there is something missing in line 22, in line 2, and that is the quotation mark. And that is the quotation mark. Okay, now there is a difference between what is on line 2 and what is on line 3. I'm not talking about this age and this S age. No, The difference is that line 2 does not have a quote, but line 3 has a quote. Okay, and that is what makes line 2 an integer or a number, and makes line 3 a string. So by the side, I will just simply write okay, number, precisely what kind of number, integer. Now we've already talked about strings now, so this is precisely what kind of is a string, and also this one right here is a string. Okay, now this is a number because it is not surrounded by a double quote, by any quotation, whether single or double. But if I run this program, okay, I actually made the mistake of not printing anything. Let's print something to the console. Let's print age, and then let's print s age, s underscore age. So let's run the program. But there's something you're seeing. Both of them are outputting what? 23. Yes, they are both outputting 23, but they are not exactly the same thing. One is a number, one is a string. Just like, imagine strings like alphabet. So if you make the mistake of removing a string from this, something like this, you're going to have an error, because Gabriel here cannot stay on its own, so you have to put it in a quote. But for things that are numbers, so you can actually put them within a quote, or if you want them to particularly be a string, or you can put them within, you can just write them like this as a number. Now, one thing that differentiates them is that if I hover over this one, you can see if I hover now over this, it's supposed to show me integer. Okay, it's not, but I will also show you how to confirm that it is an integer. I will show you that. So one interesting thing about these things, about this age and this s age, is that there are certain operations which you can perform on a number and you cannot perform on a string. Okay, because a number, you can actually multiply a number by 2. Yes, it's possible. You can add 5 to a number. Yes, of course you can. You can divide a number by 3. So those kind of mathematical operations can only be performed on what? Numbers. And age, as you can see, is a variable representing a number, but s age as it stands is a variable representing a string. So those mathematical operations which normally you can perform with numbers is not possible on s age, because s age is actually a string. And I will give us a very clear example. Let me multiply this one by 5, and I will multiply this one by 5. Okay, we are going to get outputs. Now what do you see? For line 5, I did age times 5, and you can see I have 115, which is actually the product of 23 times 5, which is 115. So the calculation is correct. But coming down to line 6, I did s age times 5. You are seeing 23, 23, 23, 23, 23, like almost something like 5 times. Let me reduce it to 2 so that it will be clear what I am demonstrating for you. So you can see that 23 times 2 is what? 46, which you are seeing here. But 23 as a string times 2 is actually 2323. That is as if you wrote 23 double times, something like that. I don't want to start mixing words, but let's use 4 here for this place. So you are seeing 4343, which is something like writing 4343 2 times. You are writing it together. So that is what this operation is performing. So it clearly shows you that this one s age is a string, while this one is a number, because of the kind of mathematical operations you can perform on them. But if for any reason I enclose this thing in a quotation mark and is still age, now if somebody's age is always a number, but you don't expect Python to know that age is supposed to be a number. Once you put this inside a quotation mark, Python automatically sees it as a string. You don't expect Python to say, okay, no, this person made a mistake, oh, let me correct him. This thing should be a number because a person's age is a number, not a string. Python is not that intelligent to do it for you. So you're actually the programmer, and you should know what you should do to get correctly what you want. Because if I run this code now you're going to see 2323, which means it is executing this age times 2 as a string and not actually a number. So that is the thing you need to know about, strings and integers. Now there is one way we can verify without doing this multiplication. So one way we can verify the type of data that these strings are, that these values are, is by using the type function. So I just introduce a new concept, function. So this print here is simply a function that is doing something. So functions in Python are actually blocks, part of our codes that are doing something for us. It may be the functions that Guido van Rossum, which is the maker of Python, puts there, or it may be our own kind of functions. And that is the beauty of Python. Whatever the programmers, those ones you think that have big brains, whatever they did with their code, we can actually do it ourselves, because they have given us the power to create our own functions and do whatever we want to do and create objects. So if you wanted to create a phone object inside a Python code, you can. So, but that will be, I just want to train your head. So that will come in future classes. Okay, you will learn how to do those things yourself. But for now, let's continue with what we are doing. I said there is a way we can check what type of data. Okay, now let me explain what I mean by what type of data in quotes. This Gabriel you're seeing here is actually a data type, and is a data type of what is a string data type. Let me just put it that way, a string data type. So as we are going further in this our course, you'll be seeing other different kind of data type. So this age you're on line 2 is a number, or rather let me use the correct thing, an integer data type. Okay, so this integer you're seeing here, this number you're seeing here, 23, is actually an integer data type. And lastly, this 43 you're seeing on line 3 is also a string data type. So there is a way to confirm what type of data a particular object is. Okay, I just call this age an object because it is actually an object. So but subsequently you will understand all those concepts. So there is a way we can find out what type of data it is, and that is by simply using the function name type. So all I need to do is I'll write type. So in a simple English, the way this code is going to be executed is that Python would first go inside this age, just like you have your board mass. The brackets are executed first. So Python will go inside this age and get the value of age. Then it will find what type age is, which is what data type it is, and then it will print it to the console. That is just a step it will take. So first it will get this age and understand what the age is. it will get the type of data age is, then it will finally print that particular type to the console. Let me run this program. So you can now see over here that this is a class int. Class int tells us that it belongs to the integer class, which is actually meaning that it belongs to the integer data type. So if I write sh here, if I run this code, you will now see that the first one is saying class int and the second one is saying class str. Str is just a short form for string, and int is a short form for what? Integers. So let me come here and make that comment. String, and then this one means okay, this one means integers. So you have your strings and your integers. Then this one is also string. So for now we are going to, we know these three, or rather two data types. So I've introduced the string data type and the integer data type. Okay, so the string data type is simply these ones. Anything that is inside a quotation mark is automatically a string, whatever it may be. Once it is found inside a quotation mark, it becomes a string automatically. Now, if you have a number and you did not enclose it inside a string, that number automatically becomes a number. Okay, I just use tautology now. Let's say, let me rephrase it. If you have an object, something like this now, and that object is like, is a number, it's looking like a number, a numero. It's looking like a numero, which is a number, and that particular number is not enclosed within a quotation mark, then it actually means that it is what? An integer. And the next point is that if you have a number and it's the same point as a line 1, once you have something within a quotation mark, it automatically makes that thing what? And a string. Now I've introduced two data types, the str, the integer, and then the third one I want to talk about is the double. Let me do 0.343 or 34. Let me do d age, and I will come here and I will print the type of d age. So at this point you should be able to read programs. So you see the way I'm pronouncing it: print type of age, print type of d age, print type of s age. So it should make sense to you while you're programming, because it's when it makes sense to you, then you know what you're doing. So if I run this program, you are going to see the first one. Okay, this should be float. Float. Okay, so once you have a number with a decimal point, it automatically becomes a floating point number, and that is another thing you need to know. So this is a floating point number and it is not an integer. So this is another data type. So as it is, we've introduced three data types: the integer, the floating point number, and the string. So the same way you can perform mathematical operations on an integer, you can also perform mathematical operations on a float. So if I do 10 times d underscore age, and I run this program, you're going to see it actually did 10 times 23.34, and the result is 233.4, which is exactly what 10 times 23.4.34 would give you. So these three are the basic okay, there are more data types, but for now we are just going to pay attention to these three right here: the string, the integer, and the floating point numbers. So those are the three kinds of data that we have for now, because more are still coming. So fortunately for us, in our schedule we are going to cover how to even create your own kind of data. Okay, you would learn all those things soon once we are done with all these basics. So I'm going to go over what I said before. When you have a quotation mark surrounding character, any character, it becomes a string. When you just have the character and it is not an alphabet too, if it is not an alphabet too, not when you have three like this, you expect this three to be an integer. It doesn't work that way. So you must it must be a number, kind of, it must be numeric, and then you're not wrapping it around any quotation mark. It automatically becomes an integer. If you have a point attached to it automatically becomes a floating point number. And then even if you have a number and it has a string surrounding it, it automatically makes it has a quote surrounding it automatically makes it a string. That is a class of str, meaning it is a string data type. So these are the three basic data types that we are going to be discussing for now, and I'm sure that in some days from now we will not just be talking about just these three data types, but we'll be talking about more than four of these data types. But just get yourself accustomed with these ones, learn how to print their type, learn how to play around with them, see how you can add, multiply, divide, whatever you want to do with them. Now, a bonus I want to give us is this. I've already showed us how to open up your Python, your command prompt, and I want to head on to Python. So I'll just simply type Python. Okay, I will enter the interactive in the interpreter mode. So here, what I simply want to do is I want to just go over some of those things we've done before. Something like doing that my name is equal to Gabriel. Okay, that's actually bad. My name is Gabriel. Okay, and then my age is 23, and then um my GP, I'll give myself a good GP now. I'll give myself 4.98. That's my GP. So you can see that all these things, because I'm not using print Keniko, nothing is getting printed on the console. Now if I simply type name, I would see Gabriel. If I type age, I would see 23, and if I type GP, I would see 4.98. And the reason why this is getting printed here is because this interactive mode has its, like, by default it is kind of printing something just by calling the variable name. The value attached to it to just get printed on the console. But that doesn't stop us from just printing name like this. It doesn't stop us. You can still see Gabriel printed on the console. But if you are observant, you will notice that this Gabriel here is in quote, while this Gabriel here is not in quote. If you're observant, you should have noticed that. So the same way, I can still print my age. Okay, I can print my age, I can do all those things, but just know that it is not like a script. So you cannot print name, print age, print GP all at the same time, like I've explained before. Now, what I want to show you now is how to use this interactive mode as a calculator. So I can simply say 23 times 10, it will give me 230. I will say 12 plus 11. So I can basically do all kinds of mathematical operations that I want here, and that is what the interactive mode offers you. So in the same way, I can print 12 plus 12 minus 10, okay, and I will see 2. So that is exactly, so this interactive mode is, when I use it is if I want to do a quick check, if I want to just simply check something very fast and see what will happen, I can just go, instead of saving file, opening file and all those things, I can just head on to the interactive mode immediately and start testing out what I'm testing. So we can still check the type of a data. So I can check the type of name, and you will see that it's a class string. I can check the type of, I have age, and I can also check the type of GP. So you can see I can perform all those functions. I can do all those things which I was doing in the Python script. So that is the essence of the interactive mode for me. Okay, that is what I use it for. If I want to do a quick check on something, and I want to just check something very fast, not actually writing a full program, I just want to check out something, I can just use my interactive mode and do whatever I want to do very quickly and get my result, and I will close it almost immediately. So that is how useful the interactive mode is. So guys, for now I'm going to end the video, and I'll be making another video where I'm going to explain how you can actually use this variable name, and it's going to just simply be titled naming variables. There's a correct way to name. If you don't name the correct way, you're going to have problems, and we wouldn't want to have problems with our Python interpreter or the Python compiler, because if we have problems with it, it will simply reject whatever we are doing, and we have errors. And until you fix those errors, it will not even listen to what you're saying. So Python is kind of a very strict dude. It's not going to bend its ways because of your mistake. So the only thing you can do is to fix those mistakes that you've made. So if for any reason you did not do something correctly in the course of these few videos that I've done, you failed to do something correctly, Python is not the problem. You are making a mistake somewhere and you have to fix it. And for the often time, always ask me questions. So I don't know how much I will stress on this, but your questions are really needed. Like, I need the questions to be coming from all angles. So always ask me your questions. Let plan be that I don't know it, that Gabriel does not know it, we know how to handle it. So but for now, ask your questions, and I will try as much as possible to answer it in a way that you should understand. So at this point, I've explained the data types. Not all, I just talked about three. I just talked about the three data types, the basic data type we have in Python. We have the string, we have the floating point numbers, and we have the integers. And I gave you cases where they are used and how to use them and how to know them and operations you can do with them. So that is what I went over in this video. So I'll be dropping a new video in order not to extend this video anymore. Bye for now.